This is the setup for the pH meter. The pH amplifier is in front of us, and this here is where the pH meter comes out. That then goes into the pH meter, which you can see in the beaker over there, along with the temperature sensor. The temperature sensor goes into the blue box for the tainlab. So in number 1 is the pH meter, in number 2 is the temperature meter. So we're going to start by opening up Wintec, which is the program that controls all of the tainlab software. Once you turn it on, you should get a green light on your blue box. You're going to make a new experiment, data logger, and we're going to call this experiment, say, buffer. You can label it whatever you want. I'm calling mine buffer. I'm going to add in a probe. The probe that I want is actually the pH probe, which is down here. And I'm just going to call it pH. Now I want to also add in another probe. This one's going to be called temperature. We want the sealed thermistor. That's the second probe that we've got. Call it temperature. Once we've done that, we have set up the probes for our experiment. So now we've got to figure out how we're going to sample. The default is to start the experiment when the start button starts and to stop it when you press stop, which seems pretty reasonable to me. We've got it once per second and one every second. So you're going to get a lot of data. What you need to know is how to convert that data from time into volume. I'm going to display it as a time graph, but I kind of don't like having 30 seconds as my minimum unit, so I'm going to take about 2 minutes. So 2 minutes, and I'm going to change my number of divisions because I like to be able to see what's going on to 12. So that's our setup for the experiment. You can set it up however you want in terms of sampling and how it displays. Now you press run, and it will start to load up the sample. At the moment it's reading pH. This is the pH of the solution that's over there. I'm going to actually calibrate this. This is my buffer. So I'm going to calibrate this to 7. You might calibrate it to 4 if you're using a pH 4 buffer. And you look at your temperature and go, oh, 17.8. So it's about 18 degrees. So on your pH amplifier, you want to adjust that so that your temperature reads okay. And that gives you a little bit of an offset on that. There's also a bit of asymmetry in there, which you can adjust for the pH as well. You can do that before you change your zero offset if you want. And that's the blue button on the pH amplifier. Once you've set that, you just start your experiment and it should start running. In the corner up on the right, you'll see pH and temperature. If you're worried about the calibration of the temperature, you can put in a thermometer and measure that temperature initially and then do the set 0 or set value, just like you did for the pH. What I'm going to do now is add a little bit of hydroxide, just to change the pH a little. So that changes a little bit because we've got a buffer, and it should come to some new equilibrium. And it's changing a little bit more. Be careful when you add it that you're not adding it onto the thermistor, which is what I just did. You want to actually add it to the solution, and then you kind of have to stir it so that it gets mixed through. So there we go. I've added a little bit more, and you can see suddenly we're kind of out of the buffer range. We're getting up to pH 10. And if I add a few more drops, this is 1 mole sodium hydroxide, then we're going up further. Now I don't really want to do much more than this. I just wanted to show you how to use the software. So I'm going to stop the reading now. And now you want to know how to get the data. So you can save it. That will actually save it in the Wintec version. What you want to do is export it. I usually just open Microsoft L and paste Excel and paste in the results. And when it's done, it should open up. If it doesn't work like that, then you save it. Often it comes up with this error, and then we'll open up Excel anyway. This time it didn't. I'm actually going to export my results, as a workbook. You can also export it as any other file, which you can then load into your preferred graphing package. So going to export this. I'm going to save it as a buffer just on my desktop, and that's just so I can find it again. The data, so if we go back to the desktop, we should be able to see this sample, and you sit there and go, oh, it's just open, that's fine. Now I'm going to actually look at it and go, I want to make it into a graph. So I insert a scatter graph, and hopefully that'll work. It's in terms of time versus pH, but we actually want it is with pH as on the y-axis. So I'm going to just adjust this so you guys can do that. But actually, I might just leave it for you guys to do because you should know how to use Excel by now.